Hey there, old souls. It's Dr. J, and I'm recording this sort of intentionally in the evening, just before bed. This is kind of my before bed type sweatshirt, and you might be able to hear the dishwasher running and the laundry and dryer running. And I thought it was sort of an appropriately human sort of setting to talk about something that feels important to me and like something that's a distinct focal point for an awakening life, although it's also going to sound obvious. The essence of the reflection is really on the laws of nature and the observable patterns as understood by science. Now, this doesn't sound like a typical Old Soul Republic conversation about spirituality and the soul, but stay with me. Everywhere we look, everywhere you look right now, you are seeing evidence of design and pattern, recognizable design and pattern. They wouldn't make a phone if they couldn't recognize the design and pattern of energy or binary code, or how to work with microwaves or different kinds of Wi-Fi. You wouldn't be sitting on the chair if molecules didn't consistently come together in the same way in the very fabric of the material. The way the sound travels through the air, the way the light falls in the room. Absolutely everything in the physical world is governed by predictable patterns. Now, are there mysteries? Yes, absolutely. So I'm not saying it's all explainable, but I am saying that there are recognizable patterns. And they coexist with mysteries. They coexist with factors we don't understand yet. In fact, some of you know that the world of theoretical physics has concluded that there must be multiple dimensions of reality just to explain the phenomena that we see on Earth and at the subatomic level. But this reflection on design, it goes further, because it's not just the material world. We see patterns in the human experience. We see patterns in mythology. We see patterns in psychology. And even where there's difference from one culture to another, there become patterns within those cultures. And they usually fit within some meta pattern. The idea here is that this patterned nature of the universe tells us that when all things came from mystery into being, the mystery itself had a kind of consciousness, a structure, a design, a way that works and doesn't work, that exists and doesn't exist, just the way a seed contains the consciousness or potential of the oak tree. But it goes further, because not only is that mystery encoded with a pattern that then unfolds in the manifest world, but it's unfolding inside us as well, which means more than culture, more than human behavior. Human psychology is patterned, human emotion is patterned, and of course human spirituality is patterned as well. When we experience these patterns intimately, or when we feel a kind of personal connection with them, or that they have a personal relevance for us, well, then we think of them as the evidence of a personal God. When we focus on them more through the lens or the filters of the mind, without the personal, we see the patterns and we relate to it as a conscious universe. When we relate to these patterns and the design and the energy of things without the explanations and without the emotion, then we call it energy. And we can go on and on and on. The patterns remain the same, the interpretations change, and where we focus changes. So for the scientist, it's the material world, and maybe for the spiritual seeker, it's the metaphysical world. But the whole point of this rambling conversation tonight is to say that in every moment, and we know this, but it's a contemplation to commit to, in every moment, doing the dishes, getting the laundry done, finishing up cleaning the kitchen at the end of a long day and sitting down for a moment, all these things are not only equally as spiritual, but they are equal access points to the pattern of all things, because it is the pattern that makes them so. And when we look for the pattern in all things, we as humans experience it typically as love and wisdom. Love and wisdom. And sure, we can take it further. We might say the heart knows it as love, the mind knows it as wisdom. Again, the body knows it as energy, and the spirit, I think the spirit knows it as self, as oneness. So how does this simplify life? Well, I think it simplifies life because it means that the simplest way to explain what we're doing on the spiritual path, and maybe what we're doing in any profession at all, is that we are trying to bring ourselves into a greater alignment with the natural order of things. And that's it. And the more we come into alignment with that, and the more our identity merges with that, the more we remember that that is in fact what we are. And the differentiation, the substance of the differentiation, or the belief in the differentiation, dissolves. You might then say, but wait a second, what about all these horrible people doing horrible things? Are they in alignment with the universe? Well, I wouldn't say they're in alignment with the patterns of the universe, but they are acceptable in the existence of the universe. How do we know that? Well, because they exist, which means while they may be distortions or violations or twists of the grand pattern, they too are in the pattern. If they weren't, they wouldn't exist. So the pattern seems to hold absolutely everything in the reality that we know, which means we might get a little more curious about the things that we don't like, about the things that we judge, about the things that repulse us or repel us. Doesn't mean we're going to advocate for them, but something in the universe says it's okay that they exist, because they do. And if everything is a reflection of the pattern, then our relationship to those things would be within that pattern. So while the things we may be in relationship to do not reflect a coherence with the grand design, the way we relate to those things can reflect a coherence with the grand design. So it kind of brings me back to the same lesson. Maybe even just this week, we focus on, you focus on, I focus on asking ourselves, what does it mean to live in alignment with the natural order of things? This was really the essence of Taoism. This is the essence in some ways of many traditions, although many traditions decided to make the natural world and the natural laws somehow profane, and everything transcendent was sacred. But we've come a long way, and we can see now each and the other, and we understand at any level, seen or unseen, known or unknown, created or not, we can be certain that it all exists within one grand design, or it wouldn't exist. And that means that we are not only related to absolutely everything in this universe, every star, every molecule, every creature, every human, but it means that we are just subtle variations of the same substance, just subtle variations of the same design. It feels like something worth contemplating. Maybe it's just late. I've had a very long day. So think about these things and ask yourself if perhaps sometimes you, like me, complicate life, spirituality, our goals. Maybe it's nothing more than seeking alignment, attunement, at-one-ment, harmony with the way things are in each moment. Then looking for the love and the wisdom hidden in that experience. I think it's there. I think it's here. All right, we'll catch you soon.